So, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about a literature review. Now, remember, this is the follow-up from the problem statement. So today I'm going to give you the overview and the guidelines for your literature review. Now remember, we've already looked at the problem statement. You've finished your problem statement with your 4 parts. Okay, so this is the next one, okay? This is the next part, the follow on. This is where you're actually going to do the investigation itself. Because with the problem statement, you only just focused on the actual problem or the opportunity. Now we're going to do the investigation. Now, previously, you've looked at annotated bibliographies, okay? But this is not the same. This is totally different, okay? This goes far beyond just a simple annotated bibliography, apart from being a bit longer. Okay, so what is it? Well, basically, what we're going to do is that you've already chosen your opportunity or your problem, your issue, but now you need to see, well, what information already exists about your problem. In other words, has anybody already investigated about that problem or that opportunity? And that's what we're going to be looking at, to see what information there is out there that will help you with your actual research. So today we're going to look at a sample literature review, which was done by one of my students years ago, and you can find this document and all other documents on our Blackboard. Okay, so the literature review is basically 2 pages long. Okay, one and a bit pages of your writing, and then the second page or the second half of the second page with the bibliography. Okay, so it's split up into 4 parts. Now, don't forget, you need to put the title. Okay, so we need to know the title, and the title is the same as your problem statement. So we go into an introduction. There are 2 parts of the introduction, and you can see on the slide, okay, one is in normal print, and then the lower part, the last sentence, is in bold. So the first part is the preamble, where you're going to give the background to your problem or your opportunity. So you're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, notice in the example here, we have citations. And this is what the literature review is all about. You're going to review the literature or the articles and investigations already done prior to your studying this, okay, and use that information to base your investigation on. For that reason, you need all of these citations because you need to base your information, your literature review, on fact. And remember, you can only use valid, appropriate, credible references or sources. So the first part is the background or the introduction, and then the last sentence there, which starts, however, while young wives, this is the actual focus. So in this case, it's talking about women who are getting married very young. And as you can see in the last sentence, while young wives have dwindled, means gotten fewer and fewer in the minority, the fact is women are still choosing to marry at a young age. So that brings up the question, well, why? If we've educated the people of these women over the years, over the decades, and yet they're still marrying young, well, there must be reasons for it. So that's the focus of this here. So you must give a clear focus. Now, once we've given the focus, we need the body paragraphs. And the body paragraphs are where you're going to include the majority of your references, your citations. As you can see, they're marked here in yellow. We need citations throughout, and very, very important, your citations need to be as recent as possible. Now, this is an example of a previous student's literature review. So as you notice, the last citation there is from 2009. Well, that's a little bit old now. We want to keep our citations within about 10 years maximum. But If you can't find any other information, well, that's no problem. You use these older references and clearly state these are the only references we've been able to find. And so there you're justifying using these old references. So here you're going to give all the information that supports your investigation. Now, how many paragraphs in the body? Well, that depends on the information you can find. Okay, 3, maybe 4. It depends on you. It depends on how much information you can get. Okay, so what's next is the final. Now, remember, all the work we've done this year is whenever you write an essay, whenever you give an oral presentation, we have the opening, which is the introduction. We have the body, which is the main body of work, and then we have the closing. So remember, the body must be longer than the introduction and the closing put together. So in this closing, we need 2 things, or maybe even 3 things. Okay, first thing is we need a summary, a wrap-up. Okay, so as you can see, there are a number of women still getting married at a young age. Okay, or in summary, or as I have shown, as we have found in the investigations. Okay, that's your summary. Then, after the summary, you can give a conclusion, an opinion, or even a recommendation. More often than not, it's a conclusion. And then at the end, as you can see here in bold, okay, where it starts with in addition, here is what you want to say is where your investigation is going to take off from. Because since other people have already investigated this topic, what are you going to do? So, as you can see here, it says, in addition, although I was unable to gain access to this information, I expect that looking at geographic areas, etc., etc. And the last part, would shed further light on the different ages. Aha, would shed further light. So what you want to do is go in deeper in your investigation to find out this more information about why these women are married. Okay, and that is your literature review. Of course, we're missing one thing, the last thing, and that is the references. Now remember, we are following APA 7 format, not CSE. So for APA 7 format, remember, you need to have a hanging indentation, as you can see in all of these. Now, how many references do you actually need? Well, I'm only going to ask you for 3. Since this is a short review, not a long one, okay, I'll just ask you for 3 references. Here we got about 5 or 6 in this example, okay? Make sure, and I repeat, you follow the APA 7 guidelines for your references. Otherwise, Mr. Stuffkins is going to take points off you. Okay? Now, all this information you can see here, all right, you will find on Blackboard in basically 2 files. One file is the example of the literature I've just shown you, and the second one here are the guidelines or the rubric. And so here you can see the points for each part. 10 points out of 100. 10 points for the preamble, 10 points for the focus. Then the source of the information is 15 points. The sequence, make sure you go in a logical, chronological sequence. Transitions, okay, first, after that we found this. Following that, you must transition, and of course, and notice 20 points, 20%. Citations and references, because after all, this is a literature review. And here are the 2 references you need, okay, the review and the guidelines, which are on Blackboard. So we're going to cover this material basically between weeks 9 and 13, depending how we go, okay? And so, remember, this is a literature review. It's the follow-on from your problem statement, okay? And remember, cite, cite, cite all the time. Okay, so these are just the references I used for this information. So, thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day, and remember, if you have any questions about any of this, you can ask me on the first session of the week, which is the question and answer section, or send me an email. Here's my address. Okay, bye for now. See you in the next class.